You've been taught to care about everything. Your appearance, your productivity, your image, your success, your status. And maybe that's why you feel tired all the time, because caring about everything is a full-time job. But here's the paradox no one tells you. The moment you stop obsessing over how life looks, it actually starts to work. Peace flows in. Clarity shows up. Things begin to move without you pushing. What if letting go doesn't mean giving up, but finally giving in? What if freedom isn't found in having everything together, but in not needing to anymore? Michel de Montaigne, one of the most grounded thinkers in history, saw this centuries ago. He knew that detachment wasn't disconnection, it was wisdom, the ability to live fully without gripping tightly. This video isn't about apathy, it's about liberation. It's about how caring less about the wrong things opens you up to everything that actually matters. If you're tired of chasing approval, tired of overthinking every move, tired of playing a role just to be liked, then you're exactly where you need to be. You've probably spent years, maybe your whole life, trying to be what others expected, trying to impress, to prove, to be enough. And no one told you how exhausting that would be. You learn to care about your image, your reputation, your performance. But here's what no one teaches in school. Caring too much about everything is exactly what's keeping you from peace, from joy, from you. There's real power in not caring, not in a cold, disconnected way, but in a grounded, clear, inner confidence kind of way. The kind of not caring that says, I don't need to prove my worth anymore. You stop trying to fix your image and start focusing on your inner alignment. And that shift, it frees up so much mental and emotional space. Space you didn't even know you were missing. Michel de Montaigne, the 16th century philosopher behind much of what we'll explore here, lived this wisdom deeply. He challenged the idea that we need to perform for the world to be valuable. He didn't just talk about self-acceptance, he embodied it. He saw imperfection not as something to conquer, but something to befriend. His writings were radically honest, refreshingly human. And that's the heart of it. You don't find peace through perfection. You find it when you stop chasing the ideal version of yourself and start showing up as who you actually are. The version that stumbles, that doubts, that says the wrong thing but still belongs. You stop building a polished image and start building a grounded life. This isn't about giving up. It's about giving in to your truth, your limits, your present moment. When you let go of caring about things that don't matter, the things that do start shining more clearly. Your energy shifts. People feel it. You feel it. That's the quiet confidence of someone who's done performing and started living. But to really embrace this, you have to unlearn some deep patterns, especially the need for external approval. Let's talk about where that need comes from and how it quietly controls your life until you're willing to face it. Let's be real. Most people live their entire lives trying to earn a sense of worth they already have. You look around, compare yourself, and adjust who you are based on what seems likable, acceptable, or impressive. But that game never ends, because the moment you reach one standard, another one pops up. And the worst part is, it pulls you further away from your true self every time. The constant need for approval is a trap that feels safe but is silently crushing your spirit. You dress for it, speak for it, post for it, smile for it. You stop asking, what do I want? And start asking, will they like me if? That pattern doesn't make you loved. It makes you invisible. Montaigne knew this centuries ago. He said, in essence, why spend your life worrying about opinions that vanish the moment you die? True freedom begins when you realize you don't need to impress anyone to matter. That's not indifference, it's integrity. When you stop performing and start expressing, you start living with depth. Your choices become aligned with your values, not your fear. You stop outsourcing your identity to the crowd and begin writing your own story. One that actually makes sense to you. Letting go, in this context, isn't some passive, detached resignation. It's power. It's choosing to release the pressure to be perfect, to be liked, to get it all right. You realize that overthinking every step doesn't create safety. It creates anxiety. And presence, the ability to be fully here, only shows up when you stop living in someone else's mind. Montaigne's wisdom wasn't about escaping life. It was about showing up for it with honesty. He knew that you can't control life's chaos, but you can stop fighting with it. He trusted that life unfolds best when you stop trying to manipulate every outcome. And the moment you do that, you make room for something better than control, connection. And that connection becomes even more powerful when you shift from needing life to obey your plans, to letting it surprise you. Because when you stop clinging to control, you finally open the door to transformation. Let's take a closer look at what actually begins to change when you embrace detachment. Detachment doesn't mean not caring. It means caring without clinging. It's the difference between holding something with love and gripping it out of fear. When you let go of the need to control outcomes, you don't lose power, you gain freedom. You begin to move with life, not against it. You start flowing instead of forcing. And strangely, things begin to fall into place with less effort. This shift from control to flow is where real change begins. You stop micromanaging every detail and start trusting the process. Not blindly, but wisely. You see that your plans aren't the only way forward, and often not even the best way. With detachment, you can pivot, adapt, respond with clarity instead of reactivity. Life becomes less of a battlefield and more of a dance. And that dance becomes more beautiful when your focus moves from external noise to internal peace. You stop trying to win approval and start seeking alignment. You realize that confidence doesn't come from applause. It comes from knowing you're in integrity. Even when no one's watching, especially then, that's when your inner world starts to feel like home. Failure? Not something to fear anymore. You stop taking it personally because your worth isn't on the line. You embrace uncertainty because you're no longer betting your identity on a specific outcome. You begin to see imperfection as not only natural but necessary. Because without it, there's no depth. No growth, no authenticity. Relationships evolve too. When you stop needing others to be a certain way in order for you to feel okay, everything opens up. You listen better. You give more freely. You don't need people to mirror you. You love them as they are. That's what Montaigne meant by real connection. Not control disguised as love, but space, respect, and mutual presence. So if you've ever wondered why things felt heavy, maybe it's because you were trying to hold too much. Maybe the key isn't more effort, but less grip. And when that grip loosens, your energy shifts. Your mind clears. And that's when the practice starts becoming real in everyday life. Let's bring all of this down to ground level. Philosophy is powerful, but it means nothing if you can't feel it in your day-to-day life. So here's the first thing to stop. Overanalyzing. Seriously, let it go. You don't need to replay that conversation 10 times. You don't need to decode every silence or reread that text for hidden meaning. Peace doesn't come from solving imaginary problems. It comes from not making them in the first place. Start paying attention to how often your brain tries to fix things that aren't broken. Someone doesn't reply right away, doesn't mean you messed up. You feel tired? Doesn't mean you're lazy. Get out of the habit of making everything about your worth. Live by your values instead of other people's reactions. One way to start. Write down your personal values and check if your choices actually reflect them. Next, release fear-based behaviors. Stop letting the fear of rejection steer your life. If you're holding back your truth just to avoid discomfort, you're trading authenticity for approval, and that's never a good deal. Try saying one thing today you've been afraid to say. Even if your voice shakes, bold doesn't mean loud. Bold means real. Practice stepping into your truth even when there's no guaranteed outcome. Take a creative risk. Apply for that thing. Start the conversation. Speak the boundary. Detachment means you do it not because you know it'll work, but because you know it's aligned. You show up fully, then let go of what happens next. That's the balance. Here's the paradox. When you care less about image, you show up more honestly. You become magnetic. People feel your energy shift. They may not know why, but they feel safer around you. You stop performing, and your presence becomes more impactful. That's what Montaigne lived for. Not to impress, but to express. Fully, authentically, freely. So now the question is, can you still give your best without needing a perfect result? Can you care deeply about your purpose, but stop grasping for praise? Because that's real freedom. And once you taste it, it's hard to go back. You don't have to live in your head anymore. You just have to live from a different place. So now the question is, are you finally ready to stop caring about what doesn't matter? To stop editing yourself for people who aren't even watching? Because the truth is, life was never asking you to be perfect. It was only waiting for you to be real. And once you drop the act, things move. People feel you, and you actually feel you. What's one thing you've been clinging to that you could release today? Is it the need to explain yourself? To impress someone? To prove you're enough? Let it go, even if just for a moment, and feel the weight lift. That's not weakness. That's strength most people never access. If this message hit home, hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications so we can keep growing together. There's more where this came from, and I promise it gets even deeper from here. You don't need to figure it all out today. You just need to stop forcing it. Now go watch the next video. It'll show you how to take this mindset into your daily life so you don't just understand it, you live it.